Episode 38 of the Tool Bags of Sports podcast. I'm your host, Sebastian Caballero. We're missing Sheehan today, but we're going to talk some NBA because a lot has been going on in the last couple of days. Some stars have been testing positive. Some NBA guys have been complaining. One got suspended for getting his Postmates, so it seems to be like a little bit of a shit show here to start off the NBA bubble. Games will begin here in a couple of weeks, but there are some concerns, especially here with the bubble. Guys, I want your thoughts, your opinions on what you guys have seen from some of the NBA guys. I know J.R. Smith's video was pretty viral about the blanket that he got and the food that they're serving and all that. So, Justin, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's just something to talk about really until the basketball actually starts, but it's just funny to me. Some people are going to complain, and some people, are just lucky to be there and happy to be there, In the end, it's just, I think everyone's getting excited for, the games to start soon. And if I'm a young guy, I'm loving life, man. All the superstars there in one spot and all that. So,
J.R. Smith, you just got re-employed. I would just keep it to myself. But I don't know. I am confident that they're going to pull this off. They're actually being super, super strict about it. Obviously, they weren't going to get the food options, the blanket options. They weren't going to get – it's the first time they're doing this. Everything first time around is a shit show, no matter what. So I really do think that they're pulling it off. I think that the snitch thing is the funniest thing that's happened. But I think they're going to pull it off. Honestly, I do feel that they're being very strict. They are punishing. Then they are with the wristbands and everything. I think that everything's super controlled.
Yeah, and they do say it is super clean, and there are some good stuff about that. That is pretty strict and all that. So that's pretty cool.
I thought it was fucking hilarious. Like, this guy literally just ran outside for about 10 minutes to go get his fucking food, and he got the quarantine for 10 days. And then I don't know if you guys saw, like, these guys posting about there was girls coming over to the hotel and things like that. So it's super funny that, like, they're already struggling. They haven't even been there for a month, and they're all struggling to do it. And this is supposed to extend for some guys all the way up to October. So it raises kind of the question here. I know a lot of people were talking about, I know we spoke about it before too, about there potentially being an asterisk next to the champion this year. But this is like a different challenge this season, and now it's being evident. Going from their normal lives to being stuck in a hotel, like, it's obviously like a big change for a lot of these guys. And is there one team, or like are there teams that are more suitable than others that can kind of like hang on to or deal with living in a hotel here for the next 3 months more than others? Like, what teams are going to be affected, what teams aren't?
I would think the older teams, So I think like the Clippers or the teams that maybe really, really want it, like the Celtics. I was reading earlier that Jaylen Brown got rid of his social media and stuff like that, and because it really is serious. And if you're there, you would have, if you really wanted it, you wouldn't mess around and get caught in these stupid things. J.R. Smith's like a funny guy and all that, and he does all that stuff, and he just got picked up. But you won't see, I feel like, the teams that really want it. Like, you won't see Giannis going and doing funny things like that and all that. But the team that really starts to me really is the Celtics. A young team with a lot of talent and all that. I think they could take advantage of a nice, like, short little spurt right here and getting hot at the right time.
Of course. I mean, how exciting, especially for this awkward dynamic that we're working with 22 teams, the opportunities that the bottom seeds are getting. So I think that the most rebellious team, I feel, would be Portland, just because they were the first ones that were like, no, we don't want to play in a bubble. So I feel like they came in, well, Lillard, with like a bad taste in their mouth towards it. But I do think that everyone's going to behave. I mean, obviously, I believe that girls are getting tweeted like crazy. I mean, come on. But I think that when it comes down to it, ain't nobody getting 2 miles near any of those resorts. At least, maybe by October, things will loosen up. There's a vaccine. There will be more flexibility. But from now to July 30th, I really think they're all going to have their boxers way up in a bunch, behaving.
What an honor, getting invited to the bubble, huh?
Right. Oh my God.
What an honor.
And her supposed name was hashtag at Ugly Anna. So I haven't seen Ugly Anna, but wasn't the name I was expecting. But all right.
Yeah, she wasn't all that ugly. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. She wasn't too ugly, but you know, the team that I really have high hopes for, and I'm not even being a homer, is the Heat, man. Like I feel like the teams that have a little bit more depth have an advantage being in the bubble. I think the Heat are a little bit more serious than some of these other teams and some of these other players. Like there's not really like, even though they're a young team, they're not really immature. I don't think. And I think that maturity is gonna play a big role in that. Like, you know, I had the Lakers originally winning, but you know, now with Rondo being hurt and just a lot of question marks that they have in their team, you know, they're gonna miss Avery Bradley as well. So who knows? I think Justin got it right there on the money that the more experienced teams are, you know, do have an advantage. And Claudia, I like how you said that some of these, like, eventually they're gonna be like, okay, all right, we gotta tighten up. I think where the mess is gonna come is really in those like 8 regular season games, because they're really like a preseason. You pretty much know who's in the playoffs, who's not, except for obviously the 8 seeds or below. They're still fighting for playoff spots, but other than that, I don't think it'll be an issue. I think once it comes down to playoff time, it's like, all right, we've been here for a little bit, we've played the games, we know how it's gonna be. Let's go for it. There are some teams though. There's been rumors now of like teams being very, very serious about this season. Obviously, like, because there's a championship on the line, but like some drastic moves could potentially happen after this season. There's a lot of teams. You know, I mean, the Rockets for one, the Lakers for sure, because you know a lot of their players' contracts are up. But who's got the most to lose in this bubble in this season?
Besides the Lakers, for obvious reasons, I would say probably the Bucks. You know, I think Giannis is really getting to that point in his career where it's not cute anymore just for him to be pretty good and then lose. You know, it's everyone's now wondering, can he beat someone big? You know, win a big series, take out a Western team, and I think it's getting there. I mean, you could say the Clippers because now they're going to be fully healthy. Kawhi is going to be 100%. But I think it's, besides the 2 LA teams for obvious reasons, I would say, Giannis.
I'm going to go with my Clippers because it has been a never that we have seen them even spurt this far. They are such a Western favorite. I feel that between the Bucks, the Lakers, and the Clippers are going to be 3 of the teams that are going to get the most national visibility and international on that point. I think that the Heat also has a lot to lose. We saw the Heat work its way up, and the Celtics, like you said, a super young team. These teams work their way up. And I'm not saying they're going to be the winner, but I feel like the Pelicans have a lot to lose if they don't make that 8th seed because people are cheering for Zion.
I definitely like the Pelicans pick because part of the reason that they're even in this tournament, why there's 22 teams, is because of the Pelicans, because of Zion Williamson. But my team, other than the Rockets, who I think have the most pressure, after making those drastic moves and all that shit. And but I think that the Celtics, man, have the most pressure because at what point are we gonna stop making excuses about like that they can't win? Like there's all this talk every single year about Brad Stevens being this great coach and all this stuff, and the Celtics being so talented and always being right there, but they never get over the hump, dude. Like they always fall short. At some point, it's got to be like, okay, like there's got to be some changes made because the Celtics, it always seems that they have a solid squad, and this year they're young, they got talent, they're experienced, their coach is great, dude. Like there's no more excuses for the Celtics. Like this is it. This is the year that they have to win. And like, do they win? If they don't win the championship, is that gonna cost Brad Stevens his job? No. But like, what if there's an early exit here? Like they have to play well. They have to make a run here because the Heat are on the come up. The Bucks aren't going anywhere as long as Giannis is there. Even the Raptors, man. Like the Raptors are always solid. So I think all the pressure's on the Celtics here.
Yeah, if not now. If now's not a good opportunity for the Celtics, then when? I think they're extremely talented. Marcus Smart, great defender. They're saying Jason Tatum put up 20 pounds, so I'm excited to see that what he's got. But you know what? Let me tell you something about the Heat.
Body transformations, a lot of body transformations this season too. I saw the video
Zion Williamson.
walking into Disney World today, and I thought it was almost Durant how skinny and slim he looked. It was ridiculous. Obviously not height, but he was slim.
No, I'm excited. And you know what about the Heat? I think this whole stoppage kind of hurts them. You know, we didn't have any expectations for them at all coming into the season. But I'll tell you what, speaking of maturity, Jimmy Butler this year it has been very mature. I'll give him that. He's been an awesome leader that they've needed. But we didn't really have the talent. I don't think is really there. I think they gelled, and I think they built this momentum in the season and kind of just ran with it. And I think this kind of stopped. I think it's going to hurt them, you know, trying to get that rhythm back that they had. They were firing on all cylinders, everybody.
I mean, I feel that the teams, though, that people are going to think that are going to choke the most because of the lapse have been the teams that have also been independently working their butts off to try to not be that underdog. Also, so another topic, Oladipo might actually play. I think that's going to be a huge impact for the Pacers if he were to come. Should his salary be penalized if he doesn't want to play because he's just going to be a free agent? 100% yes. I think it's going to be great to see what the Pacers can do because he's been out for so long. So they're also a team that no one's really talking about, but they can be dangerous if wanted in the seed that they're in.
Yeah, Victor Oladipo is going to be a Heat part of the Heat next year. Calling it. I already read those reports. I'll take him. I'll take him too,
but let's see what he has to offer. Let's see if.
I think they become the best team in the East if Oladipo goes there. I'll say that.
What I hope, because there's so many like rumors about stars that the Heat might potentially get. I just hope we get one. Like I hope we get the like I would love to have Bradley Beal if that's really an option. That would be like my number one guy to go after. But you know, I'll take Oladipo, honestly. And the fact that he wants to come here or come to Miami, like it's a huge help. But I was thinking about this today. Like I think the Clippers are gonna be an early exit this year. I was really thinking about this, bro, because this is already like not really a serious season for most of these players, and Kawhi that doesn't really take anything fucking seriously. Like I don't know. I feel like they're not gonna try as hard to actually win this championship because I don't think. I really don't, bro. I really don't. I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers get bounced. Like, obviously not. If they have an easy matchup early on, probably not. But, like, somebody that's, like, hungry or that's, you know, like, if they get, like, the Jazz in the second round or something like that, like, I could see them getting bounced, bro.
You're talking to the biggest LeBron fan. Being a LeBron fan comes that you hate Kawhi, you hate Jordan, and you hate Curry. But if there's one thing that I can admit, when healthy and, you know, when he's not tired, the best player is probably Kawhi Leonard. As he proved, when he's healthy, he could put the whole team on his back and take down anybody. Defensively, offensively, hits free throws. Before he hurt his knee, Zaza Pachulia, the Warriors are done. And he had him on the ropes. KD was gone. He's the only guy that can guard Kevin Durant. So I think there's no way. I think there's no way. I don't even think he needs to turn it on until towards the end. Because Paul George is still there.
I think that the Clipper-Laker mix-up this year is probably going to be one of the best Western Conference series. If were to happen, I think that both teams are going to turn it up. I'm super LeBron too, but for some reason, I feel like they're getting jinxed on between Rondo getting hurt, the player that opted out, Beal that opted out, J.R. Smith already starting with his talk. Like I said, he were just recently re-employed. Just, you know, don't complain. The filet mignon wasn't going to be there the first night. Maybe once you start earning it, maybe once you start making some baskets, Hot Pockets might be acceptable.
Maybe when he calls a timeout, when he gets the rebound, calls timeout, or maybe passes the ball to LeBron instead of dribbling it out.
There you go.
Let me tell you, but losing those two guards really hurts the Lakers.
We'll see. We'll see. I really think that a lot of people are underestimating. I remember we had this conversation earlier on. If the NFL, obviously, it's not going to attract the viewers of the NFL, but I feel that this season, because they are so rested, because everything was so different, it's going to be a very amped up season.
Just a quick comment on that Lakers Clippers series. It sucks because it's like the most anticipated series, but it would have been cool to actually see that series in LA. Like, winner goes on to the NBA Finals. I would have been cool to see that in LA, but whatever. It is what it is. Any final thoughts?
2 more weeks as of 15 days. So the first game on the 30th is actually the 9 p.m. game is going to be Lakers Clippers. So wow, we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I'm just excited for it to start, man. Excited to see the Lakers, ready to see the LeBron show.
I know these last 8 games, last 8 regular season games are really like preseason games, but I hope LeBron balls out because he deserves the MVP. But he's probably gonna get robbed again, like always. Should have 17 of them, only has 4. That's all right. It's all good. Guys, we'll actually see you tomorrow. Justin and Claudia will be back. Claudia will be back for our NFL segment on their next episode. Justin will be back for the MLB segment. See you tomorrow. On to the second segment of the podcast. We got to talk some college football, some shitty news developing here in the last week. A lot of ADs now unsure of what's happening. And it's serious when the SEC is now considering possibly not having a season, when there's so many questions out here. And training camp's supposed to start. Campus is open in less than a month. So really, really concerning stuff here, guys. What are your thoughts on everything that's been happening here the last week?
I can't say that I'm not surprised by what's happening. I mean, as the cases continue to go up, the chances of college football actually happening continue to decrease. With the SEC, I think knowing the SEC, I mean, when they say it just means more, it really does. Like I can't see the SEC just saying, you know what, we're scrapping the season, because if they do that, they're gonna lose out millions, hundreds of millions, probably even billions of dollars. And that's something that those schools rely on, just to function, just have functioning academic, athletic departments. So I don't see it happening. Maybe they go to all conference games, kind of like what the Big Ten and the ACC are thinking about doing. We'll see. I think there has to be football, and if it doesn't happen, then colleges are going to have to make some very, very tough decisions.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been seeing a couple reports. I've seen a whole bunch of things going around, and obviously it's going to hurt everybody. You're going to be losing out on a lot of money. Not all these big teams, that's their sport. College football is the one that brings the money into their athletic department and basically makes the money just keep flowing in the school. And then a lot of these teams, the D3 teams, the D2 teams, those guys that get paid to just play on those D1s, like the Alabama, one of those first games of the season, the feeling out games, they're going to be hurt too. I read a report that said Bowling Green has like a $20 million athletic department program going on. That's how much it really costs them every year. And like 3.5 million of it comes with that first game of the season. And, that's probably not going to be the case this year. So it's going to be tough for this year. I heard reports too that they might want to send or make the season in the spring. I don't know how that's going to play out, but we're going to see how everything goes out.
Yeah, man. I mean, the SEC, that's a huge loss. I mean, credit that's like one of the biggest things in the NCAA going on. Me personally, like coming from like a Notre Dame perspective, like they're an independent school too. Like that's a lot of revenue that's just going to be sitting out there on the table as far as what's going on in the college football world.
Dude, it's shitty, man. It's shitty. Because I mean, there was reports earlier on in the year when the spring sports were being canceled, and there was talks about this potentially extending to the football season, and you saw many ads. I brought it up in a previous episode. Florida State's athletic director had said it, like, man, like, pray for us if football season's canceled. Obviously big programs like FSU, like Miami, like Florida, like Notre Dame, they'll be able to stand this if in case there is a delay in the football season. But schools like Bowling Green, schools like Jackson State, and things like that, where the majority of their revenue comes during football season, like, this is fucking detrimental to them. But let's talk about that, Hector. You kind of touched on it a little bit. Like, how would this impact college football and college athletics as a whole if there is no football season?
You're going to see a lot of programs get cut, a lot of sports programs get cut, because when you look at it, like, just a breakdown on college sports, like how much money they bring in, the vast majority of sports are in the red. Universities actually lose money while playing like other sports like gymnastics, softball, and sports like that. They actually lose money, but the only reason why they're able to do it is because football brings in so much money that they can be able to afford to take those losses because of the amount of gains that they're making off a football season. So you take that away, you're going to see. I mean, you're already starting to see it. There's already some programs. I know Stanford, which is a Power 5 school, is starting to take away some sports because if there's no football season, they're definitely not going to be able to afford it, and that's a private university. So you can only imagine what's going to happen to some public universities. And before I finish talking, Mikey pointed out that there has been talks about moving the football season to spring. That's a possibility, but at the same time, I feel like the football is going to take a dip, because when you look at it, that's around the same time as the NFL draft and the combine. So if that happens, I can guarantee you, most of the top guys like Trevor Lawrence, he's going to miss. He's going to sit out. You're going to have Justin Fields sit out. Penny Senag, he's the top offensive tackle out of Oregon. He'll sit out. Gregory Rousseau from the University of Miami will likely sit out. I cover the Florida Gators on Rivals, so Kyle Pitts, the tight end, will most likely sit out the season because those guys. Oh, another Miami guy. What's this guy's name? Brevin Jordan might sit out, and Sebastian, you're FSU guys, so maybe Marvin Wilson and receiver Tamarion Terry sits out because those guys already have a lot of film, so they don't need to risk injury. On a season that they already know, like, hey, I'm going to be this type of draft pick. All they got to do is really show out in the combine. So you're going to see a lot of, like, I guess you can kind of say, like, you're going to see, like, the future of college football if college football, plays in the spring, because most of the top guys are already going to bounce because they're not getting paid for it either. So they're not going to want to risk an injury and potentially lose out on millions of dollars for a season that, is probably going to have an asterisk on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have that much of a concern. Like, I think people are making a big deal about them moving it to the spring. I'm not a fan of the idea, because now, like, especially with some of like the Big Ten schools, like, you're gonna be playing in like negative 20-degree weather to start off the year. That's not fun. Like, you could be costing some guys their careers, man, for sure. But I think, like, as far as like the draft, like, if it does get pushed back, I think they can push back the NFL draft. I could see them doing that, pushing it back towards summer. Although I still do think that if given the option, guys that are automatic first round picks like a Trevor Lawrence, like a Justin Fields, there's no benefit to them playing in the season. But I don't really know. I think like there'll still be a lot of guys that still have something to prove. Maybe some of these guys that are right now projected to be second to fourth rounders that could sneak their way into the first round. I don't know, Mikey. What are your thoughts?
No, you guys hit the nail on the head on that one. I mean, realistically, if it gets moved on to spring, you're probably going to end up seeing, like Hector said, the future of college football. Is that something that's going to be marketable? Yeah, I guess. But, at the end of the day, you want to see Trevor Lawrence. You want to see Fields. I mean, I'm a Hurricane fan, so I want to see Derek King. I want to see Rosario. But those guys are probably penciled in already. That's going to be in the first round. I mean, that shouldn't be a dumb decision or an easy decision for them to make. It is an easy decision for them to make. I'm sorry. That's what I wanted to say. If you're going to be in the first two rounds, you don't want to play in spring. I mean, it's done like that. But as far as I know, a lot of other teams, I mean, going back to the question, a lot of schools, Ivy League schools, are already cut off their sports, football and stuff for the fall. And like again, Hector hit on every single one of those points. The football makes the world go around when it comes to college universities. So, without that money, there's gonna be a lot of cuts. And I'm right there with you, Heck. I agree with you in every single word you said.
I just want to bring up another factor about it is you're going to see a lot of different things as far as like a stop and go method. A lot of quarterbacks that might be on the bubble, like you guys brought up, like Trevor Lawrence and everything. I see Trevor Lawrence ready going into like the first round, but you're going to see like quarterbacks who are possibly, you're going to see some universities maybe at a smaller school, mid-tier school. Like, how trustworthy are these athletes going to be? Like, if someone tests and reports, oh, I have COVID-19, how are they going to bubble these people? Is that quarterback that worked with this wide receiver that has COVID, he's going to be in a room, he's going to be stuck? Like, how are they going to message him? You're going to take a whole nother factor of things that maybe these players don't have the correct tools. A lot of the players that we see in the National Football League, we see them, they have the iPads, they have everything, they already have the money, they already have everything set. A lot of these players, they might just pass on that opportunity and be like, hey, I have to play. I can't be sick. That's my main concern. You got 50 people on each team. There's like over 100 teams. It's gonna be interesting to see how they isolate everything.
So just to kind of go back to the question of how this affects college football, I spoke to a buddy of mine that played at Tennessee Martin, small Division I, and he was the one that brought it up. We had talked a little bit about COVID and if there was a potential no season or if they were to play without fans. And man, like he stressed it, like all the revenue comes from football, right? Like, and that's most universities, unless you're like Duke or Kentucky, most of your revenue is gonna come from football. So you've already seen multiple programs. Mikey, you mentioned Ball State earlier. I mean, it's gonna be like very, very bad for a lot of Division I programs. But one of the things that I started thinking about was now some of like the smaller divisions here could actually end up benefiting from this. NAIA divisions, maybe even some Division IIs, because those are schools that don't really rely on their football program. They're not going to generate as much money on athletics. These are mainly private institutions, privately funded. So they're not as bad. I don't know if maybe football or even basketball, but for example, like a sport like baseball, like it would benefit. Baseball is getting cut all over Division I sports. So do you guys see potentially, like, if some of these schools start cutting out a lot of their programs, like, do you see like maybe some of these like smaller NAIA schools, Division II schools, Division III schools kind of become like now coming like the powerhouses for some of these other sports?
It may. I mean, bring up a good point. If these schools are cutting out their sports and other players or student athletes don't have anywhere to go, why not go down to a smaller school, and still be able to play? But I don't see, I guess, that being a bigger issue in the future. I mean, I know when hopefully everything gets back to normal, and all this, you'll start seeing sports coming back, but I mean, you do bring up a good point. I wouldn't doubt it. If I was a kid going into school and, I don't know, let's say a wrestling team or in tennis or something like that, and my school got rid of that sport, I'm going to go where I can play. So it does bring up a question, you do bring up a good point. I'm sorry about that, Sebastian. That's what I think about that.
I think another division that can benefit from these schools cutting programs are JUCOs. If you can bring in a freshman or a sophomore, you can bring those guys in for 1 year, develop them, and then ship them off to other schools. And it also makes those JUCOs look better because they're bringing in top tier, better talent than they usually would. And then when they send them off to other Division I universities or, top tier D2 schools, then that makes their programs look better. And then like, hey, look what we did during the pandemic. We were able to bring this person from this school. Her program got cut, and then she developed, she got better, and then we sent her off to this university. So they could use that. They could definitely use that as a recruiting tool. When it comes to baseball, like I've seen a lot of like baseball programs get cut, like Bowling Green and Boise State. Baseball, when it comes to the divisions, it really doesn't matter as much because there's some D2 schools and some JUCOs that will absolutely, run, if there was a knockout rule, they would do that to some D1 programs because especially JUCOs in Texas and Florida, those programs are full of, professional prospects and D1 prospects.
Mhm.
So I could see those like guys from Boise State, maybe they go JUCOs to Texas, they go over there, develop, and then they get shipped off to, after their years, they go to Division II school or another small Division I baseball program. But I mean, look, I think the University of Tampa won it. The University of Tampa is the last champion. There was no champion this past season, and the University of Tampa produces a lot of like professional talent, like more than some Division I programs. So that's something to keep an eye on. I think some D2 schools and NAIs, NAIs they're still kind of growing, and you have some programs that do, like Faulkner University in Alabama, they do, get guys to the next level.
Andrew, before you go here, I'm gonna change the subject here. Since you are our Notre Dame guy, let's think positive for a second, and let's assume that all these conferences play only conference an only conference schedule. Drew, you are a Notre Dame fan. You guys are kind of left out here. In that scenario, that there is only a conference only schedule for all universities. At least we do have football, but how does that affect the grand scheme of things as far as rankings, as far as everything, as far as crowning a champion this year?
I think it's going to be interesting. I know a couple years ago we wanted to join the Big Ten, but we passed that up and we decided to join the ACC. We do have like our basketball, our baseball, and everything does play for the ACC already. So we're already going to have some games with the ACC. It's going to be interesting to see moving forward if Notre Dame is actually going to sign that contract. It would be crazy if it does. Maybe something because the ACC might reach out to them and say, hey, we're only going to play teams in our conference. You already have like a short stack agreement with them because they have all the other sports in the ACC. They might actually join the ACC, which would be crazy for Notre Dame because that would be the first time to be unindependent and everything as far as that goes.
I know somebody in this show right now that would love to see Notre Dame join the ACC. I don't know, Mikey. What do you think? What do you think?
I was literally just saying, I'm sorry about that a couple of years ago. I was there in the flesh. That was probably one of the greatest games I've ever been to in my life. I'm sorry Trey John had to do it to you, but
no, it's all good. Notre Dame with Coach Kelly, he gets up to championship games. He gets me all excited, and then somehow the score is like 44 to like 12 or something. I don't know. The score doesn't even add up at the end of the day. I mean, there's a huge gap. I remember the first time I got my first tease with them with Alabama, and I was like, we're gonna do it. And then I think that was Eddie Lacy or Trent Richardson, one of them. I know it was Alabama running backs. Just ran over Manti Te'o's girlfriend scandal. I mean, it's been a second, so I understand.
The ACC could also use Notre Dame because outside of Clemson, that's a glorified Group of 5 school. I mean, there's no other programs that are really competing. The ACC is really.
Hey, chill, man. Hey, we're coming, Hector. Come on now. We're coming. We're coming. Is that this guy? Hector thinks because the Gators have been good here the last couple of years that now he's got a little bit of hair on his chest, man. He forgot about the last 8 years before that.
football's at its best when FSU and UM are at top. Let's all agree.
Says Miami and FSU fans. Literally says nobody else, just you guys. Just you guys, because you guys think, you're all high and mighty. Miami, you guys belong in the DVR era. You skip the CD era. Right now, the streaming era is, blowing by you guys. So we'll see. Florida State, you were good with Jimbo, and it has just it's sunk like the Titanic. It's been.
So what are your thoughts on Taylor going to Miami or Florida on August 6th? What do you think?
Yeah, Leonard Taylor, that's a close one, man. Because if he said this a month ago, I have him going to Florida. It's a lock. But the past few months, I'll say this: Florida needs this football season to happen because that is their best recruiting tool. Because since Dan Mullen has arrived, they have won 21 games, and have also won 2 New Year's Six bowl games. One was in the Orange Bowl in Miami's hometown, in Miami Stadium, even though you guys rented to the Dolphins. That's something that they really need
And
to.
we still packed it up against Notre Dame. I'm sorry, go ahead.
40% or 40% of.
Oh, that was 100% capacity. Other games, maybe we could we'll sit that one out, but that one for sure.
But yeah, no, it's just, Florida really needs the football season to happen because Mullen's not much of a recruiter. He's never been known as a recruiter, but what he is, he's a great, he scheme up a great game plan. He's always going to put up good numbers on offense. He's never going to have bad offense, and he can develop talent. If you've seen what he's done at Mississippi State with some 2-star recruits, guys that,
Mississippi
UT Chattanooga recruited for, like Dak Prescott. Yeah, what did I say?
Michigan State.
Oh, Mississippi State. My bad. But no, Dak Prescott was I think he was like a 2 or a very low 3-star recruit. When he signed with Mississippi State, they asked Mullen, "Who were you competing against?" And he said UT Chattanooga. Like Dak Prescott's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he almost went to UT Chattanooga. So Mullen can obviously bring the best out of his guys. And speaking of another Mississippi State player that has had success in the NFL, he just got paid. Chris Jones, the defensive tackle from Kansas City. That's a Mississippi State guy that Mullen and actually the defensive line coach that's at Florida right now, David Turner, they recruited and developed him. So, if you're Leonard Taylor, you have to look at the business decision. Our star defensive tackle, I think is a second-round pick, TJ Slaton. He was an offensive lineman when he came to Florida, and now he's become one of the best defensive tackles in the country and in the SEC. What has Miami's best DT done? 1 sack. His entire career, and that was a top 100 recruit in Nestor Silvera. He's been a disappointment. Outside of your ends, which really, that's not the position Leonard Taylor plays. If you're making a business decision, it's the University of Florida because of what they've done with defensive alignment in the past few years. And the defensive line coach at Florida literally won the D-line coach of the year. So I think that's where he should go. But I think the coronavirus, is starting to get into some kids' minds and making them think, maybe I should stay closer at home. And that plays into Miami's hand because he is a Miami Palmetto kid.
Mikey, you're gonna appreciate this one here. I'm gonna defend the Canes here. Hector, I do agree with you that Florida would be the best business decision here, but Miami, although they've been down, and this is crazy, I saw this the other day, the 2 schools that have produced the most NFL talent here in like the last 20 years have been Miami and USC. Crazy as that sounds. So I feel like Miami still has a little bit of shine to them, bro. They're still the U. And I think what you said too does play into a factor here. The fact that because of COVID, I think some kids are gonna decide to stay closer to home. It could play into a factor. If it were me, I hope he goes to Florida. I don't want to see him in Miami, but
You're gonna see him either way. We play you every year. So
yeah, no, but it's different. It's different. Listen, we could go 1-11 as long as that one win is against Miami. I'm good. If I'm gonna take a loss, I'd rather take it to Florida than.
You're just saying that because that's the automatic loss right now.
Oh
Look at your
my
schedule.
God. Listen.
We have a chance here. We have a chance here. Florida. All right.
Hey, how about this one? I got another one for you. You didn't mention this. Yeah, this is a very important year for Florida because I'll tell you what, Dan Mullen isn't there for very much longer. Dan Mullen's going to the NFL in like a year or 2. So your window is about 1 or 2 years long. Go ahead, Mike.
Look, let me tell you this. I think this could be a year where they can actually make a run because, they kept their head coach. They kept all their, coach. Everyone, their entire coaching staff stayed except for one guy, and they upgraded. Even though, the tight end coach that we had there, Larry Scott, he got a head coaching job at Howard University. Great for him, but they ended up getting one of the best tight end coaches in the country, and Tim Brewster, out of UNC. And you know how well UNC has recruited the past few years. So, I look at them like, okay, coaching staff, they're definitely up there with everybody else. And then, they kept their quarterback. When you look at some of the top programs in the country, not only are they replacing quarterback, they're also replacing coordinators. And some might even have to replace head coaches. Like Baylor had to replace their head coach because he left for the NFL. And Florida State, replaced their head coach, even though Florida State's, has been a subpar program the past few years.
We got more problems than just the head coach. That was the biggest problem, but we still got some other problems we got to figure out.
There's been a lot of problems at FSU, but we're not going to get into that. But this is a year that Florida can actually surprise people and win the conference, because you look at Alabama, no more Tua. They lost a lot of talent, and they lost their offensive coordinator. So their new quarterback, Mac Jones, who he's been there for a while though, he has to learn a whole new system. Trask has been at Florida the entire time that Mullen's been there, so he knows the system like the back of his hand. And when you look at LSU, you had to replace pretty much your entire offense except for Jamar Chase, and you also lost Joe Brady, who was the mastermind of that offense. So, who knows what's going to happen there. Georgia doesn't even know who the hell their quarterback is. They just got JT Daniels to get the waiver. So now people are saying JT Daniels, or it's going to be Jamin Newman, the guy that they picked up earlier in the year. And also they have to replace the offensive coordinator. So there's a lot of turnover in some programs. And at Florida, everything's pretty much staying the same. You lost a lot of receivers talent. They had 3 guys get drafted. But the good thing with them is one of their starters came back in Trayvon Grimes, and the other 2 receivers, and Kadarius Toney and Jake McCollum, were, big-time contributors. And you also kept the best tight end in the country, Kyle Pitts. But after this year, he's going first round.
I don't know about the Kyle Pitts pun, but I mean, I guess he's your best player on your offense.
Look at the numbers. Just look at the numbers. Come on.
I'm just saying. University of Miami has 2 tight ends that are probably going to end up being better than him. But anyway, listen, I sense some saltiness with the Severa thing, having just 1 sack. He was hurt all of last year, and the man is a playmaker. As a defensive tackle, he will surprise a lot of people, and you will see that he made the right decision coming to University of Miami. He is a dog.
Let me tell you why I mentioned that. Let me tell you why I mentioned it, because he put his highlight tape on his Twitter account. It was 30 seconds, and the only play was a sack against Florida State, which, anybody with 2, working legs and 2 arms, they can probably get a sack with that offensive line, because that thing was a revolving door. It was Obama's immigration policy. Just let him through. Let's go. Come on, right in.
Got that Rudy highlight.
But I'm just letting you know, his freshman year barely played. He was on special teams. His second year, last year, that was his coming out party. He got hurt. He barely did anything. He wasn't He wasn't active for any of the games. I think after, if I'm not mistaken, the 4th game of the year, something like that, or maybe even the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. But he's
also a bit undersized. Like, I saw him in high school, and I'm 5'11". I stood next to him like, Jesus, you're like 6'6". You on the website here, he says you're 6'2", 6'3". I'm like, that's bull.
But I'm just saying.
I will say this: he plays with that aggressiveness that I like. He plays with a motor. Like, there was some people thinking that he might have flipped to Florida on signing day. I didn't believe it, because I just thought he has been coming to Miami for so long. I knew he wasn't going to go there. But either way, they had other guys.
But listen,
they actually had one of his teammates, Slayton. Slayton and him were teammates. But Slayton was the offensive lineman. Right now, he's had a better college career than Nesta, and I think Slayton's only 1 year older.
But you're going to end up seeing right now that he's going to end up having a better year. Right? Mind you, you have Gregory and you have Quincy Roach on one end. They're not going to pay no mind to him. He's probably going to blow up the middle every single time. Him and John Ford are going to have a good year this year. This defensive line and this front 7 is going to end up being one of the best in the nation. And we have freshman or sophomore linebackers. McLeod, Sam is going to be up front.
Yeah, but you also lost the last 4 years, you've had the same group of linebackers pretty much. You have to replace all of that and in such a short amount of time, because these guys haven't had practice.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Florida, here's the thing. Like, when I look at Florida, I'm like, okay, we lost our 2 top sack guys, Jonathan Gennard and Zuniga. Both went to the NFL. However, Florida still returns the most amount of sacks in the entire SEC. We lost our top sacks guys, and yet we were still a sack and a half better than anybody else in our conference. And we also added a 5-star, outside linebacker who's going to play the star position at Florida, which is kind of like a rusher. Not the hand in the dirt. His hands are up in the air.
That sack total, I think Miami kind of helped you out in that first game last year. So.
And so did Florida State. I think Florida had 8 sacks that game, and Miami was 10. No, I feel bad for Jaron. Jaron probably spent a couple days in the ice thing.
I think we can all agree. We really do hope that college football comes into play this fall.
Oh my God, I wanted to be back so bad.
Guys, real quick, we're running out of time. Any quick final thoughts? Quick. Got 1.5 minutes.
I'm praying to God that we play. I'm sorry, Drew, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say I hope we do play Clemson or Miami so we get that one loss. So we don't have to be top 4 and then go to the playoffs. Doing all that and kill my dreams again.
Come on, bro. You gotta have more passion in your team than that, man.
I literally out here in the Midwest, like especially like in our area, we had like the 12-0 times, like Notre Dame perfect season. I'm like, yo, every time I see that and I just saw the Clemson game, I'm like, please take it off your shelves. I'll buy them for you. How much money? How many copies you got? We got to get, hide these. It's not perfect.
Wear your mask if you want college football to happen.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Wow, that was great, Heck. That was great. What a great. How was that expected? Wow. No, bro. What I will say, since there was a little bit of FSU bashing there, I'll reiterate this again. Whether we go another 6-6 this year, or again if we go 1-11, just give me that Miami dub. That's what I need. Honestly, let's go 2-10. 2-10. Give me those 2 wins against Florida. Even though if we're most likely, if we play, we're gonna do an all conference schedule anyway. So. Oh my God, I'm done. All right. That's enough for one day, guys. Back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna mute Hector here. Hey, see you guys tomorrow. Why do these people try me, man? Always ganging up on the little guy. You know what's some bullshit? Is that out of the 3 main Florida schools, fucking FSU was a dominant school for 7 fucking years, and all of a sudden, like in the back end, is fucking recency bias. Miami was good for a year, and then Florida has, hit the last couple of years, and then, obviously the shit show that happened with Jimbo, and whatever. It's fine. We'll settle it on the football field. God, man, I really hope that we do have college football though, because especially with these guys that are so passionate about college football as I am. There's going to be some really, really great episodes, and hopefully we get those in. That's all for me. That's all for this one here. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all platforms: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Go ahead and do that. Until next time, I'm signing off.